I know you're thinking right now, you're thinking, Hal, we love you. No, you're thinking, Hal, you're adorable. No, you're thinking, Hal, why don't you, why couldn't you be more like Joe Rogan? Jamie, put that thing up on the screen about where Hal Sparks is trying to be like me, but not high, dumb, and self-involved. I saw that video the other day. It was, I don't know, it's an entire channel. It's called infotainmentwars.com. So just when you thought somebody couldn't be dumber, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you cowboy action figure dickhead Glenn Beck. CIA proxy war, and he's pointing at the Ukraine flag. First of all, let me get the fuck you out of the way. Fuck you. The CIA did not make Russia attack Ukraine. So fuck you, Glenn Beck. Fuck you. We can just clip that and send that to him. I don't even think he needs to see the whole thing. Hey, Glenn, fuck you. Shame on you. Anyways, back to the comedy. What the fuck is that? What's happening? What Cowboy Glenn? Get the shit out of here. I mean, granted, he's probably wearing the entire outfit so he can cover his jowls with the scarf like he does all the time, the bandana. But Jesus. And the title of this, you think CIA proxy war is asshole-ish enough. World War III warning, these powerful forces want to make it a reality. Okay, nobody wants World War III. Even the people who would participate in World War III don't want World War III. Not in the way people think of it. Because the World War III we're talking about is a fucking nuclear war. Nobody wants it. Nobody wins. That's the less. Even the bad guys know it. It's just full of shit. It's just garbage. But let's see how. Let me guess. Like Big Pharma wants everybody to have a cancer they can keep on a leash. This asshole thinks that I don't know, military-industrial CIA complex wants to make Russia a bad guy.
I want you to listen to this story from the New York Times and just help me out a bit, will you?
No one can help you. You're a grown man wearing a cowboy hat in a set created in his house to look like what he wanted his childhood bedroom to look like.
Sure, of course.
Asshole, you have the word sport on the wall. You don't do any sports, including shooting.
Nestled in a dense forest, the Ukrainian military base appears abandoned and destroyed. Its command center a burned-out husk, a casualty of a Russian missile barrage early in the war. But that is only what's above ground. Not far away, a secret passageway descends to a subterranean bunker where teams of Ukrainian soldiers track Russian spy satellites and eavesdrops on communications and conversations between...
Yeah, that's in the central part of the country where they tried to attack early on and they hit the above ground stuff, but they were unsuccessful. They took over a fucking air base. Where the fuck were you?
Between Russian commanders. On one screen, a red line followed the route of an explosive drone as they thread it through the Russian air defenses from a point in central Ukraine to target in the Russian city of Rostov. Now, Stu, I don't think this is a secret when it's in the New York Times. But
Did they give you latitude and longitude, dummy? Did the Russians in the beginning of it hit several buildings, some of which they knew were military installations, others that they did not know were military institutions or installations? Did they... This is the narrative story part of it? Fuck you.
First question here is...
Why did they print the address? Oh, they didn't.
Why would the New York Times be talking about something that's just a few yards away from a military base? It's probably not hard to, narrow this down. From a military base where there's hardened bunkers.
Because there's hardened bunkers all over the country, because the Soviets used to be there, because Ukraine used to be a militaristic outlier part of Russia as a bulwark against Europe. There's fucking bunkers everywhere.
everything and sending the drones that they're trying to stop. Why would the New York Times put that in there?
It seems
Just a good story.
It seems like a bad move. If you want Ukraine to be victorious in a war, you wouldn't necessarily want to tip your hand to the Russians. You're right. Obviously, they don't give specifics.
Yeah, they almost give so few specifics that it might be intentionally manipulated so that it gives the feeling of what's going on there, but without being direct about the location of where they are. You're so close, Stu. But if you actually ever got close, you would punch that mic out of the way and storm out of the office.
Exactly, but again, this is probably something they could pretty easily narrow down. So
yeah, they didn't clear it with anybody.
So so why would you do this?
So now the next paragraph comes in. The Russian underground the underground bunker built to replace the destroyed command center in the months after Russia's invasion.
Okay, so there wasn't one already, and they built one from where that place was. So the Russians have no idea. They can't go, oh, which one has a giant underground complex? We must have hit it early in the war. We hit the top part. Any of the ones that has a bunker underneath of it, that's probably one of those. We could probably target that. Oh, it didn't exist beforehand. They made it during the war over the last 2 fucking years.
Is a secret. It's not secret if I'm reading about it in the new.
Pull out a map, fuckwad. You've got all those screens. Try to narrow it down. Here's a good idea, Cowboy Bob. Why don't you whip out one of your fucking chalkboards?
A secret nerve center of the Ukrainian military. But there's also one more secret that now that we're printing it is no longer a secret. The base is almost fully financed and partially equipped by the CIA. General Serhiy Dvorsky said 110%. Really? 110%? That's true?
Hold on. I don't know the title of his article. We'll look at it in a minute.
It took root a decade ago, coming together in fits and starts under 3 very different U.S. presidents, pushing forward by key individuals who often took daring risks. It had transformed Ukraine, whose intelligence agencies were long seen as thoroughly compromised by Russia, into one of Washington's most trusted and important intelligence partners.
Jesus, Washington sounds terrible. They sound like somebody that runs a terrible country that you would obviously want to have nothing to do with.
Against the Kremlin today. The CIA helped train a new generation of Ukrainian spies.
Good.
Who operate inside of Russia, across Europe, and in Cuba and other places where the Russians have a large presence.
You didn't bring up Mexico, where they have the largest Russian embassy in the world.
Well, that's helpful. Can we reveal the knock list, too? The relationship is so ingrained that the CIA officers remained at a remote location in western Ukraine when the Biden administration...
Western Ukraine. That would be the other side. Okay.
Evacuated U.S. personnel in the weeks before Russia evaded.
They evaded? What were they evading? Invading, you mean?
During the invasion, the officers relayed critical intelligence, including where Russia was planning strikes and which weapon systems they would use. The Russian head of the...
Well, obviously, because we made them.
The head of the Ukrainian Domestic Intelligence Agency said, without the CIA, there would be no way for us to resist the Russians.
Right. Good job, guys. Yeah, we appreciate it. That's a great example of the CIA doing something good.
Or to beat them. Oh.
What? Oh, why doesn't any of the Russian guys that, when Glenn talks about them, have a weird, nefarious accent?
Now, Stu, why would the New York Times print this?
And also, Stu, please make your answer in cowboy sidekick language. Well, gosh dog it, I don't know. It's hard to tell, won't you know? Hoo-hoo! Something along those lines, Trey. Hold on one second. I think I have a... Well, my goodness, me darn tarnation, Sheriff. I'm gonna guess that they've been sneaking around up there on the ridge where there might be some ancients. Hoo-hoo!
Maybe...
He's off to a good start. Hup, hip, up. I don't know. Hee.
They're desirous of World War III. Could be one potential explanation.
Well, shit, you managed to say something goddamn dumber than anything I could manage, don't you know? You must have worked at that place that other feller said where everybody was so dumb they had a sign in the urinal that said, "Do not eat the big white mint." Why would they, if you're protecting against the potential for World War III, and you know that if Russia regained control of certain countries, that would be the toehold they need to implement World War III, you would, in theory, push back against that, wouldn't you? As opposed to, so, by the way, in case you're just joining us, Stu has come to the obvious conclusion, the clear and logical conclusion, that the CIA started working with the Ukrainian intelligence after they started brooming Russians out of their system, because at some point they want to start World War III. And the only thing that kept it from starting was Trump came along and blew their whole plan.
Like you're trying to spark a flame that will result in...
Wait, if you're trying to spark the flame, why would your role be to tell the Ukrainians what flames the Russians are using to fire their munitions into the fucking country?
All of us
now, what
being
would
lit
make
on
you,
fire and a fire explosion.
All right. The I'm playing dumb and the what would make you think that silly talk kind of version of this. Much like the Steve Bannon clip we were looking at, this is when you know both of these assholes don't believe a word they're fucking saying. That they are selling bullshit. They're selling shit as shinola to a bunch of folks that are looking for some dip.
Explosion across the entire globe?
What would make you to jump to something like that?
Well, he's stupid and he hangs around you. I think that's, Occam's razor.
Well, it seems like if the basic argument is actually we've been spying on Russia through Ukraine this entire time.
Hey, fuckwad. Let me take you back to a time when, in recent history, Russia has been poisoning people in parks in London. They have been linked to murders in the United States, where Americans live. They just shot a dissident in fucking Spain. Don't you think there might be a counter to that the CIA might want to maintain for the safety of us and the world? Or do you just think if we just left them alone, they'd stop spraying Novichok in fucking people's faces? What the fuck?
And these suspicions of Vladimir Putin that the West is using Ukraine for these types of purposes are...
No. First of all, the whole I did it because of NATO bullshit, that's out the window. He dropped that he's been bullshitting about it forever, but the bullshit was dropped during the Tucker Carlson interview. It wasn't NATO expansion. This is about the 1600s. Secondly, fuck you too, Stu. And the idea somehow that the Russians are only mean and spying on people and killing people is because we made them? This is your opinion of the country you live in. Then I would say, Stu, get the fuck out. And I don't mean it in a America love it or leave it. If you believe this about the country you live in, then you are complicit in the crimes you are saying we're involved in. So if you don't like it, and you have any morals at all, get the fuck out.
Have a pretty viable foundation of truth. That seems to be a terrible, terrible thing to be throwing into the New York Times. Now, I would assume the Russian military is aware of a lot of these things already.
Yeah, they when they look over their shoulder, you mean? While they're strangling somebody? Fuck's sake, man. All right, look. the weird part is America gives more shit and more of a shit about the oligarchs' families than the fucking Russians do. And we and Interpol and the Europeans have done more to look into the fucking brutal murder of women and children. Well, I don't care what you think about the men in these situations, the oligarchs who run shit and are friends with Putin who end up with a shotgun in their mouth. But the fucking stories where a guy just hacks his fucking family to pieces and then blows his brains out, and the Russians are going, they must have been very depressed. And the U.S. and the Italians and Interpol are trying to figure out how the fuck they murdered this, because I mean, they didn't even work hard to hide it. Jesus Christ. You want more of that in the world, Stu? That's what you want? That's what you want. God damn.
Is obviously their job and their business. But I don't think drawing more attention to it is a good idea.
Okay, so your problem is with the New York Times then?
So let me ask you, it's implied, and pretty much everybody knows, that Russia and China are hacking into our systems.
Right, and we're supposed to let them do that because if we push back at all, it's going to cause World War III. Glenn, anybody who changes their admin password from admin1234 to something cool and sophisticated, like, I don't know, a phone number from a movie they hate, it's much better than a phone number from a movie you love. That can be figured out. It's got to be a movie that, actually not even a movie you hate, a movie you're relatively disinterested in, because there's no, like, aha, I know, the movie that he kind of is wishy-washy about. How many of those are there? About 60,000. Yeah, go back through. Aha, yes, we'll go and use that number. Anybody who changes that is falling right into the Chinese and Russian hands and pushing us close to the brink of World War III.
That Russia has hacked into our power grid, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, just Texas though, because they never changed the password because Texas is run by fucking morons apparently. Anyways, I'll be in Texas this weekend. I was just in Texas, by the way. I would like to say the people at the Johnson Space Center, not morons, on all levels. Really, really nice people, qualified, very smart people. Also, hi Dallas. You know I'm talking to the person just 3 people past you. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to that one over there.
But what does Putin say about it in the Russian media?
I don't know that. I'm sure we could trust it, whatever it is.
Nothing.
Not true.
Right.
That's not true. We don't do that. Okay. What if it came out in Pravda and it...
Okay, so is his big problem that the New York Times wants World War III? Is that where he's going with this?
Quoted the head of the operation in Russia. And it said, absolutely, we have been targeting their critical infrastructure for years now. We have them on the ropes.
Asshole, have you heard any of the things he said about the Wagner Group? They don't go directly into these. And by the way, we don't have Pravda. That's the fucking difference. That you're actually onto it, Mr. fucking fuck the mainstream media. Hey, look at this. You just realized something. They have Pravda. It's state media. We don't have state media. So sometimes state media print stuff that's not necessarily good for the country in an attempt to try and be truthful or let people know what is widely available. And I got news for you. By the time this story got out in the New York Times, it was widely known everywhere else. The fucking Russians are not waiting for the new edition of the New York Times as, to figure out where to strike next.
And you know who told us all of this? Canada. Canada has been working with us to make sure the Niagara Falls power plant is the first to fall. What would we do?
We'd laugh. We'd laugh because it would be a cut scene from Dr. Strangelove that everybody's like, wow, not everybody can hit it out of the park. Some shit just isn't funny.
We are headed for World War III.
Yeah, eventually. I mean, if they're numbered that way, we're not going to skip it and go straight to 4.5.
Let me give you a couple of stories that show.
Oh my God. This is the new, is anybody noticing a pattern here? Occam's rubber mallet. This is when Glenn Beck paints this picture of something nefarious and horrible. And then he goes and finds 2 anecdotal stories that he stitches loosely together. Let me give you a couple of moments that, by the way, in a lot of these cases, I don't know how the fuck he thinks it backs up what he's talking about. That's also the funny part, is that you're like, how does that prove what does that have to do with fucking anything? And he'll do another, like, right turn into shit. That's why Stu just sits there staring off into the middle distance, like, where has my life gone? How did I end up here? Sitting next to this asshole in a shithead hat like that. 'Cause you gotta have cows if you're gonna be a cowboy, and Glenn doesn't have any cows at all because it's a shithead hat. It's a shithead hat. Please kill me now. Please kill me now. I'm stupid. Stupid. That's my full name. All right, sorry.
That this is
I love improv.
wanted by too many people. This is from the Financial Times this
Okay, so they've clearly never read.
weekend.
Uh-huh.
Jan Stoltenberg said that there was no doubt that Ukraine would join NATO as Western leaders gathered in Kyiv to pledge support and mark the second anniversary.
Yeah. Yeah, now. Yeah, we know. That we've been talking about that for a fucking year and a half. Everybody's like, well, they're fucking going to join NATO now. If they don't, what are they going to do? Have a peace deal and then not join? Jesus Christ. The whole reason Russia attacked in 2014 entirely in the Donbass was to create a border dispute. Same thing with Transnistria, to create a border dispute so they can't join NATO, because that's the rule. Once this is over, once they reach some sort of peace deal, even if it only lasts fucking 72 hours, they're going to fast track the shit out of that thing so that they become part of NATO, so Russia doesn't dare invade. Derp. Should have let them join a long time ago.
Of Russia's full-scale invasion. The NATO chief said on Saturday that Russia President Vladimir Putin started this war because he wanted to close NATO's door, but he has achieved the exact opposite. Ukraine is now closer to NATO than ever before.
Yeah. Dude, Sweden, Finland, are you paying attention? By the way, there has been no NATO expansion. Let me get rid of that fucking word. Also, expanding NATO would mean that NATO takes territory. That's not how it works. Other countries join NATO for its protective envelope and to be a part of it. They're not forced to. If anybody's doing the forcing, it's whoever they're afraid of will actually invade them, which is in this case Russia. For the record, fuck you. There hasn't been NATO expansion. NATO countries have joined NATO because of Russia's attempted expansion. You know what there's been? There's been Russian expansion. They fucking took the eastern part of Ukraine, the Donbass, Donetsk and Luhansk and all that stuff. That's fucking expansion. Expansion is when you fucking take that space. Ask Georgia. Ask Chechnya what fucking expansion is like. What do you think, the fucking Boy Scouts are expansionist because people join?
Huh.
God damn, he's stupid. I mean, it's shocking.
He said NATO is helping Kyiv to make its forces more and more interoperable. Ukraine will join NATO. It is not a question of if, but of when, he insisted.
Right. This is after Russia attacked. And have you been watching the Russian news? Because they're like, the next thing you know, we're going to fucking kill everybody in Poland, and we're going to nuke Berlin and all that shit. You're goddamn right Ukraine's going to join NATO. If they don't, Russia will just attack again in another 5 years. They'll get another nutcase like Putin after he fades off into the goodbye. And what makes you think they won't? Are you fucking nuts?
Okay, so let me see. On the same weekend...
Let me see you without that fucking hat. This is just silly. Good Lord.
We have NATO. What Putin said was the real problem.
No, he didn't. Putin's proxies, Jimmy Dore, some of the TYT folks, certainly Russell Brand, Tucker Carlson, they floated that idea. When push came to shove and when they asked him about it, every single time Putin has been saying denazification and it's our land and it always was and Catherine the Great and all that shit. That's what that fucking blather was during the Tucker Carlson one. So buzz off.
They were going to expand NATO.
Brokeback Mountain, really? That's where we're going? Quit it. Quit it. Stu, you complete idiot.
To places like Ukraine. Yes, we're going to do that. We're going to do that now. And also, that's the same weekend.
Now, after they've been attacked again, after Russia said, we're not attacking, we're not going to attack. Of course we're not going to attack. We're not fucking attack. Listen to Hamas Abi, Chenk's nephew, Hassan Piker or whatever, right? They're not going to invade. He had a fucking clock on his show. Haven't invaded yet. Where's this big invasion I keep hearing about? Russia's not going to invade Ukraine. This is bullshit. They're never going to Ukraine. This is just warmongers ginning up this, this horrible violence because that's what they want. They're never, oh, fuck.
And that the New York Times reports they're secret underground bunkers run by the CIA. Okay.
It's not run by the CIA. They've been doing it in coordination, and they've had training from the CIA for the last decade, as we've been trying to help them since 2014 when Russia attacked, knowing full well they were going to attack again. We didn't do that beforehand. They weren't running. Really, pay attention. You just said the last 10 years. Do the fucking math. It's 2024, dickhead. 2014 was when they attacked. This is when the United States said, we got to get serious about helping Ukraine because these motherfuckers are going to do it. And by the way, for the record, we promised under Bill Clinton, we promised we would protect Ukraine if they ever got attacked. They didn't have to join NATO, but we were going to be responsible for their security if they gave their nukes back. If they got rid of their nukes, then we will protect you if they get attacked. And they did it, and here we are.
Great.
Now, if again, this was about Canada.
You mean a country we have never tried to annex and we're not planning on annexing?
And
China.
Russia said they're expanding their presence and they're going to put military in Canada on our.
Well, if it was the same year that we attacked Canada and took a third of it for ourselves, I think we'd kind of understand. We wouldn't like it. We might push back on it, but we wouldn't be fucking surprised, and we sure as shit wouldn't play dumb.
Border. And they admitted to, doing secret operations with Canada to be able to destroy us.
Why destroy you? How would it destroy you? You mean when it kills your agents that are murdering people in other countries? Well, if we were doing what Russia was doing, and we had tried to seize, I guess at this point, it's a much bigger country, Canada. So a fifth of Canada at the time, 10 years ago, and suddenly another country, it wouldn't even have to be fucking Russia. How about the UK? Because Canada is aligned with the UK. They had the same queen. It's the same system. They're a sovereign country, kind of, but they're still under the United Kingdom in some ways. So there you go. Let's just say that the UK MI6 decided to go fucking push back on our spies because they were spraying it. They were spraying, depleted uranium from the Death Valley in the face of fucking people to kill dissenters. I think we'd think about it as a different way with it. We wouldn't be us. How about that? We wouldn't be us. So I don't even know how we could think about it because we'd go, yeah, this is where we've been. Of course, they're trying to get help from some other side. We're going to kick their fucking ass. Hey.
What would we do?
Well, we wouldn't have invaded them. So it'd be a different, obviously your analogy is childish and dumb, like your outfit. Stu doesn't know or doesn't care, or it's just his job to, again, Stu. The patron saint of staring off into the middle distance, hoping someone saves him from his life.
Mr. Orban came out. Viktor Orban of Hungary. He
fuck that guy.
Declared an end to the months-long spat with Sweden over the expansion of NATO, saying that a visit by his Swedish counterparts had rebuilt trust and paved the way for Hungarian parliament to vote on Monday, that's yesterday, to ratify the Nordic nations' membership in NATO.
Yeah, they wanted to join. Where the fuck does this whole, I mean, it's so weird to me that they live in upside down world. that everything is fucking backwards. Sweden and Finland weren't running to join NATO before Russia attacked, but after Russia attacked Ukraine and failed in their initial attack and were driven back to the territory they're fighting over right now, that they've been fighting over for 2 fucking years and lost 400,000 people doing it over a stretch of border, by the way, with Ukraine that's smaller than Finland's. And you want to talk about historical issues with a fucking border, the Russian-Finnish border, that'll eat up a few weekends of reading for you. And somehow it's Sweden and Finland and Ukraine's fault that Russia, apropos of fucking nothing, decided to kill a bunch of people and take a bunch of land under the premise of denazifying. Like, how is the idea of NATO expansion is this kind of horrifying world governing body like idiocy, right? How defending yourself is aggression, don't you get it? That's true. Touche, Helvetica scenario. Interesting how these motherfuckers talk about countries wanting to join NATO as this imperialistic endeavor. I mean, that's what he's describing here. He's describing U.S. imperialism. This is just Jimmy Dore's talking points in a fucking dipshit cowboy hat. There's no fucking difference at all. This is about American imperialism in his mind because Sweden and Finland, for their own defense, feel like they have to join NATO, or at some point Russia's going to go, fuck it, you guys were Russia to begin with too, and we're going to run across your border. And it's never about the imperialist idea that somehow Russia's going to justify their attack on Ukraine and then Poland and then the rest of Europe as a denazification exercise. How is that not imperialist insanity? What do you It's been going on for 2 fucking years. This conversation would almost make sense if all of these talking points were true in February of 2021, but Russia hadn't invaded yet. Right? If Sweden and they were talking about Ukraine's going to join NATO and Sweden and Finland are going to join NATO, and Russia went, holy shit, and they just stormed in and went, not on our watch, and they just started to attack Ukraine. Right? That would make sense. If your fucking brain folds in half in time like there's a Einstein-Rosen bridge between your fucking ears. Jesus.
We're ready to fight for each other.
Fuck you.
To give our lives for one another, he said. Really?
Yes, really. That's what NATO's about.
The sudden warming of relations between the two countries followed a decision by Sweden to provide Hungary with 4 Swedish-made Gripen fighter jets, in addition to the 14...
Yeah, Swedes make a fighter jet that not only fights war, but also complains about it at the same time. Quit it. Don't make fun. I can make dad jokes if I fucking want to. Look at his hat.
Its Air Force already uses, and a promise that Saab, the maker of the warplanes, will open an artificial intelligence research center in Hungary. Okay, so that's
how you build partnerships and share technology and strategy and like. So the problem with this is what? That Hungary wants to be part of Europe.
That's good. That's good. Why are we headed toward war?
There is already a war there, dummy. This is other people, adults, actually trying to avoid war by making the stakes of committing more acts of war that Russia is doing have a higher price tag. I think it's called peace through strength or some shit like that.
Why?
I
don't know. It's your fucking question.
By the way, Hungary did approve that in Sweden. That what you mentioned,
Oh God, no!
188 to 6.
Yeah, I believe Hungary was the one saying, "Let's not piss off the bear." Why would we be talking about expanding NATO?
Because Russia's talking about expanding itself. Because Russian state media is saying we could nuke Berlin and fuck them. We could wipe out the entirety of the UK with a few nukes. I don't know. Maybe we're just assholes, Glenn. Maybe you're right. Maybe that's it. Maybe America and all these other Western countries, the one you suck off the teat of while pretending it sucks. You and all, you're like this weird maggot America last crowd. Maybe we just have it coming. Maybe we deserve it because we've got fuckheads like you on the air. Maybe that's enough.
I believe I've heard Orban say those very things. Why would we do that?
Because the bear's already pissed off. That's like saying the bear is mauling one of your friends. It is biting into their back and shaking them right now, clawing into their skin. And you have a rifle and you have a handgun. Your friend, you give your friend the handgun and you're like, I'll move over here, you move over there, and we'll both shoot at it at the same time to save our friend. And your friend that you hand the handgun to goes, why would we piss off the bear? And that's the side that Glenn is on. That's the kind of cowboy Glenn is. Glenn's the kind of cowboy that that does the I don't have to outrun the bear, I just have to outrun you, when he can't even outrun you.
Jets? Really? That's all it took was 4 jets?
No, it's an entire technology, stupid. Also, AI technology is a big deal. Also, having a peacetime economy, which is what you'll have if you are part of Europe, versus having a wartime economy, which is all you will have under the Russian envelope, is preferable most of the time. Especially if you want to go to, I don't know, Spirit Halloween when they're having a sale in the middle of fucking, the end of winter.
I don't think so. I don't think
you think at all. God damn, this dude's dumb. This is weird.
There is a game being played here that I really
Oh my God, it's the Illuminati. I blame NASA, obviously.
don't like. And our country is becoming a little crazy.
Hold on. Our real quick. Our country is becoming a little crazy, is it? Oh, sorry, is this better? Hold on. No, this is better. Wait. Yeah, there you go. Hey, come on now. Our country. All these hats suck. Our country is becoming fabulous. Listen here, Glenn. You're gonna say our country is going crazy. Well, you don't know, because let me steer you in the right direction. You tell them, Clem. Holy smokes there, partner. You go ahead now. Tell them our country's going up in the flames of tarnation. We're taking crazy pills. I don't understand it. Don't they understand that we want peace and brotherhood towards men and maybe the occasional sheep?
Let me give you this story.
Oh, give me that story, Glenn. Come on.
The Iranian-backed
Oh, dear.
Hamas terrorist group.
Oh, my God. The Iranian-backed, I'm making notes. Iranian-backed massage terror group. Gotcha. Okay. I hate it, man, to give me a kink in my back where I didn't have one.
Praised a far-left extremist.
Oh, my God, they did. Let me guess. It's that Rashida... I can't say it because my tongue doesn't know whether to do the T or the L first.
Who lit himself on fire.
Oh, the guy from the army, right?
Outside of the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C.
Gee, why would they do that? Someone died on their behalf? It's almost as like they honor suicide as a way of getting what they want, as long as it's not them. Curious.
On Sunday, and used his death to promote Islamic terrorist propaganda.
Okay, and? So that's why we're closer to World War III. And Russia decided not to be beaten. They set all their fur hats on fire. And since I'm wearing a cardboard hat, I'm getting very nervous right about now.
Aaron Bushnell, a low-level software engineer with the U.S. Air Force, screamed "Free Palestine" as flames engulfed his body after he...
Okay. One moment. In all seriousness, let's review what's happening here. So Glenn Beck is saying that it is terrible. I presume he means that it's terrible. He'll get there eventually. that Hamas, a terrorist organization, is using the fact that a man protested the Palestinian Israel fight, the Hamas Israel fight, to set himself on fire. And in doing so, and he ultimately died of his wounds. And Glenn thinks that is a terrible thing because Hamas is using it to further their message, while he is using it to further his message. He didn't know that guy. He's never talked to that guy or about that guy ever before. Never will again after today. He may. I expect at best we can expect a month from now, like that guy who set himself on fire in front of the what was it, Stu? Was it the Capitol or the church or something? Like that's all he'll ever get ever again. But Glenn is happy to use that man's suicide for his own political aims. Real quick. So at this point, on a moral level, both the people of Hamas and Glenn Beck don't know this motherfucker, don't know if he was mentally ill, don't know why this became a fixation of his, why he ended up doing it, if he thought he was going to survive, if he thought he was going to die, all these things about it, the real human story about that. Neither one, the leaders of Hamas and Glenn Beck, don't give a rat fuck about that dude. Let's be abundantly clear. But they're both happy to use it to pat themselves on the back about the message that they were saying, even if it's a total non sequitur. Again, I ask you, what the fuck would it have to do with, does a guy, even if he was like a tech for the Air Force, what the fuck does that have to do with World War III? Probably because the Chinese probably hacked his computer along with the Russians and programmed him to do it.
Doused himself with a flammable liquid and then lit himself on fire.
Yeah, usually you have to use a flammable liquid when you because if it's not a flammable liquid, it's just hard to keep the match going.
He later died from injuries.
The injuries from setting himself on fire. I don't want anybody to think he was hit by a car walking himself to the hospital.
Bushnell repeated terrorist propaganda in the moments leading up to the incident, falsely claiming that what was happening inside Gaza was genocide and calling Israel colonizers. Now that sounds like a far-left radical, doesn't it?
Yeah, maybe so. What the fuck does this have to do with the fact that Russia was dusting people off well before 2014 and the CIA started working with them after the Euromaidan to help them purge Russians that were trying to gut their system? And because they did that, they tried to help them get rid of the corruption in their country. Somehow that inched us closer to World War III. Anything that doesn't play by Russia's rules inches us to, honest to God, what did I tell you about his side stories? Roll back. Did I not say that he does this? He does these two anecdotal stories, and one of them is always a non sequitur where you're like, what the fuck does this have to do with this? Because I swear to God, I think he just leafs through paper and goes, let me show you what I mean. And then he just picks random stories out of a pile on his desk.
Oh, I forgot. We're not looking for hard left radicals in the military. Only those Christian nationalists and those who want to have insurrection in the United States.
Well, yeah, because I don't give a fuck, honest to God. It's sad, but I'm not worried about people who set themselves on fire. Honestly, that guy didn't set himself on fire and then go running at someone and try to hug them to death at that moment. I'm worried about the fucking, the dudes with a fucking Ruby Ridge tattoo. I'm worried about the guys who have a more than one dog-eared copy of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion and the fucking Turner Diaries. You see the fucking difference? Internalized violence is a terrible thing. Externalized violence is worse.
Now, here's why this is so bad.
I know it's bad. Anytime somebody like that does something like that, it's bad. I don't know what the fuck it has to do with Russia and NATO and World War III.
Let me take you first.
We're getting awfully close to, I just feel it coming on. I feel like we're getting awfully close to cupcake territory in this. You bet your ass we are. I don't know what the fuck. Get on with it! All right.
To what Cornel West tweeted, "Let us never forget the extraordinary courage and commitment of Brother Aaron Bushnell, who died for truth and justice. I pray for his precious loved ones. Let us rededicate ourselves to genuine solidarity with the Palestinians undergoing genocidal attacks in real time." I want you to mark this place in time.
Where what? Cornel West is wrong. And also, what the fuck does that have to do with World War III and NATO and fucking? I'm not gonna let it go. Trust me. I'm not. He's not gonna let it go. I know this dude. I hang out with him all the fucking time, and like this dude grinds on shit. You think I get bad? Like he walks by, he sees fuck. You should see him. Like I'll walk like certain words. They tick me off. I gotta tell you. But hell, man, an entire story can make him walk in a circle in the basement like an hour, going, "What the? I've seen it. It's just what the?" And I'm like standing in the corner, going, "Say what the again, motherfucker? Say what the again? What the?"
Right now, this truly is a mile marker. This makes Aaron into some kind of suicide bomber.
No, it doesn't. It just makes him into a suicide. There's no fucking bomb. Dum-dum. He's the opposite of a bomber. Nobody else got hurt. What the fuck is wrong with you? If it's a mile marker in the ever-changing world of suicide bombers, they're going backwards into the strictly suicide part and not so much a bomber. What the shit?
When, they'll be rewarded in heaven. We are not a culture that rewards suicide or suicide acts.
Okay, bullshit. Let's be abundantly clear. Okay, we are a society where selflessly giving your life for someone else. Now, suicide is, I wouldn't count this in there, but the idea that somebody does, I mean, Jesus Christ, look at the end of Independence Day. What about the dude in Aliens who they run out of ammunition, and he and the girl who, like, they're both out of ammo, so they just hold the bomb close to each other and take out a bunch of the aliens. Look at fucking Edge of Tomorrow, where the dude facing out towards enemy. Remember, the guy's got a claymore on his fucking chest, and when of course we do. Giving your life selflessly for the idea of saving others, we absolutely support that. Yeah, Avengers Endgame. Jesus Christ. Captain America. It's one of the things that makes him a true hero in the story is that before he has any superpowers, he throws himself on a grenade. Somebody throws a grenade and he lands on it to save everyone else. And he's laying there. He's like, "Is this a test?" Also, yes, these assholes think Ashley Babbitt is a fucking hero. Good Lord. I do not recommend, in any situation, simply doing yourself in. I don't recommend it at all, actually. I want you to be around. But even as an example, it's a terrible idea. It never works. Never. Not ever. Anybody who's affected by it is already on your side, and anybody on the other side just goes, "You guys are fucking crazy people, and they're mentally ill, and we've got to fight against those kind of people." That's what happens. I guarantee it. How Twitch people can't talk in the chat? Really? Why would that be? We're on chat though. I mean, sorry, we're on. Yeah, they are. Twitch people. Sky Comet is in there. Twitch people. Yeah, they go. Okay, there you go. Hi, Twitch people. And again, like I said, I don't put shit behind a firewall, and I don't make subscriber only or chats ever either. I see that happen all the time. I don't like it. Right. It's, and where would we be? The maggots wouldn't feel free to drop by if they had to subscribe just to talk here. Anyways, no, he's not a suicide bomber. He just committed suicide. He didn't bomb anyone.
Suicidal acts, especially for...
Yeah, right. Like Jesus, maybe? Like Jesus giving his life for everybody else? I mean, you're right, Glenn. You're right. Jesus could have ran. He could have ran. Why didn't he? It's terrible for society that he hung around and he put the soldier's ear back on and then let himself be crucified. Good Lord.
Politics. Instead of one of the 50,000 plus Americans who committed suicide in the last year, instead of mourning another lost life, lost to mental illness, we're confusing suicide with martyrdom.
No, we're not. Cornel West's tweets are not us. And the vast majority of the American people are not going to start setting themselves on fucking fire. I know Jesus didn't commit suicide. I'm using his allegory against him, Arizona Sunflowers.
Those who kill themselves for ideology should not be praised. But that's exactly what Hamas said. That's exactly what Cornel West said.
And that's exactly why Orban let Sweden join NATO, because the CIA is in Ukraine. And I don't know what you're talking about.
Praising ideology over human life. That's not a Rubicon we care to cross.
What are you talking about? Every time you talk about fiscal conservatism, in that we can't afford to help Ukraine or we can't afford to pay for, school lunches or something like that, you're sacrificing human life for it. There are degrees of it, but you absolutely are.
But we're crossing it right now.
That's the end of it. Fuck you. That's the end. That's the whole fucking clip. You're shitting me, right? So the whole wrap of this, the title of this fucking, oh shit. World War III warning, these powerful forces want to make it a reality. And what does he end on? A dude sets himself on fire because he's bought into the bullshit around the Hamas attack on Israel and was already leaning that way and was hopeless and wanted anything like notoriety, belief system, an afterlife, whatever reason he had. We don't know because he's dead. But because of that, this guy, this is going to lead us to World War III. Good God. Poor guy watched too much TYT. Yeah. 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 If anybody wants to go look up the Gavin Long story, you'll know that TYT has a body count. By the way, chat room, hi. Love you guys. Don't do yourself in. We like having you around. Just saying. I on a personal note, I'm glad you're here. And I think you're just more useful in the long run. You know what I mean? What if something comes up that only you could solve and you thought, I don't have a value in this situation because I can only do these three things. And we're like, fuck, if we only had them around, we could have solved this. See how that works? Yeah, please stick around. I love you guys. Even if you disagree with me. And this is why I don't wish illness or death on anybody. I would rather argue with you than have you do yourself or anyone else harm. Just for the record. Just clarifying that. Just saying. Yeah, there's only one you, and I'd rather hang with you or argue with you. But that's it. I'm not, yeah. Good Lord. What a bunch of shit.